Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Book Harlots. I'm Eliza Mann.
I'm Sage Spelling.
I'm Adrian Norris.
And this week, we're going over J.R. Ward's Lover Revealed with our friends, Butch and Marissa. And Vanna is showing off the lovely cover of Lover Revealed. So we got a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to jump right into it. Right into it. So, in this in this book, it kind of starts out with Butch feeling away. He was dejected. Marissa wasn't feeling him, so he thought, and was feeling someone else. And the Brotherhood kind of left him on the sidelines a lot. So we kind of open with him jumping out into the field with both hands and feet, and he just like, I'm not anybody's I'm not just going to sit around and be useless. So I am going to attack these lessers and save the civilian and save the day. What the fuck was that? Was that a death wish, or was he just tired of being pushed around? What do you guys think?
I think it was a death wish. I think that he finally felt like he was home. So he wanted to protect his family, and you protect your family with your life. Because, he had a little complex from his sister being murdered and feeling like it was his fault, and his family blaming him, even though wasn't his fault. He was a child himself, but he never wanted to let anybody else down. So I don't think he was a death wish. I think he just didn't have a lot of regard for himself, maybe, but not necessarily a death wish. So,
how about you, Sage?
I agree. I don't think he had a full-on death wish, like he wanted to die at that moment. But I think he just didn't really care if he lived or died. I don't think he really cared much about himself. I think that he's always felt like he had to help people. Like she said, with his sister, he has a slight hero complex. Like he just always wanted to be the protector, and I think that's why he did that. And yeah, he probably was a little annoyed that they were telling him he can't do this and he can't do that when he was the hard ass. His name was hard ass, right? As the cop. So he was used to running the show and doing what he wanted to do. And so being told that he couldn't, it was just something that he couldn't deal with. And it was like, screw you, I'm gonna do what I want.
Yeah. I kind of felt like I felt a little bit like maybe it wasn't all the way a death wish, but I don't think he really cared if he died. I feel like he didn't have a lot to live for at the moment. He was feeling like his family didn't want him. His real family didn't want him. The Brotherhood just kind of had him hanging around. And Marissa, more importantly, wasn't interested in him, in his mind. So I think he was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going balls out. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to kick some lesser ass. And I'm going to show them. And if I die doing it, then so be it. Not that he necessarily wanted to die, but I don't think he had a care about that, which was a lot,
I think he also thought that, because he called Vicious, right? So usually they would be there in a drop of a dime. And them not responding to him was not really usually how it would go, right? So he probably thought he was going to have backup too. And when backup didn't show up, he's not the type of person that's going to run away from a fight. He's going to do everything he can to help. I think that, that's evident about his personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he poor guy. I felt so bad for him. Like stretched out on it. I'm like, get this thing off the phone. I kind of also felt like they should have given him some technology at that point in time. Like, I get it, but I feel like, I understand where he's coming from, because he's like, I can't even communicate with y'all when you're in the field. You're kind of leaving me at home. So I just felt his pain. Poor Butch. So let's move past that a little bit. Do you think Marissa she kind of identified her strengths later? What do you think it was that pushed her over the edge? Was it the rejection of Wrath? Was it Haver's putting her out just before dawn? Was it the Glamera and her just saying, forget it. I'm not gonna, just sit here and take this anymore. What was her catalyst? What do you guys think about
I
that?
mean, I think the final straw was her brother kicking her out right before dawn. But I mean, it's like the Glimera already looked at her, for the last 300 years, like she was, an outcast and had horns on her head, and she was unworthy and unmateable, because her Halloran that was betrothed to her didn't have anything to do with her other than feeding, because he had to biologically, but, and he felt obligated to feed her too. It's by obligation, not because he actually, not that he didn't care about her, he did, but I think it was just her brother being like, you need to go. And then she finally was like, yeah, because she said, she finally admitted, like when he kicked her out, you're right, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She pretty much said that. So
yeah, pretty much. It was 30 minutes before dawn. Anyway, Sage, what do you think? Oh my
whatever
God.
it was close to dawn, but
It was. Lord.
I think it was like a little of all of it. It was a combination, right? She had really low self-esteem, and she was unhappy. She was so miserable, and it was an ongoing thing. Like AJ said, 300 years she was with Wrath, and everyone thought she was. She's known as like the beauty of the race, and she thinks she's defective. She thinks that she's ugly. She didn't think that she was worthy because of the rejection of the other, like Raph didn't want her. Other males in her class wouldn't even make eye contact with her. Women or females wouldn't talk to her. So she felt like this, like she just didn't belong, and it was like an ongoing thing. And then I agree with all of you that the last straw on that, it was just like that last piece of the jigsaw puzzle that just made everything tumble, was when he was like, get out, at 30 minutes before dawn, and she had nowhere to go. Her brother was supposed to be her protector, right? And for him to put her in that type of harm's way, it really shattered what she believed in because I think she followed the rules because those were the rules. She was a lady, and she followed the culture of her lifestyle. And part of that was to have her brother protect her, because even though she was older, usually the brother protects the sister. And when he did that to her, it literally was the last straw, and it shattered everything I think that she believed, and finally decided that she needed to make a change.
Yeah.
Well, but
yeah, it was late, for sure. But I feel like that was enough, like she had been through quite a bit, from Wrath kind of not wanting her, and the Glimera treated her so badly. Like I don't even think they ever treated her good. Like she never had a positive, meaningful relationship outside of her relationship with Havers. So that had to be something to deal with. You were kind of bred to be the queen, and not having that has gotta hurt. So I feel like she should have I kind of wish she would have just said, screw all of y'all before he put her out. But, in an ideal world, I guess she needed that little extra push, because it was everything that she'd ever known. So sad. Poor Marissa. All right. So what about Butch? He was going through a thing. He was, kind of mean to Marissa, and it almost felt like he was very envious of their relationship. And then later on in the book, we kind of find out that he was indeed envious. So did he want a poly relationship with them? Because he was kind of looking to them in this longing way. Like, oh my God, look at what they have, and I should be in the middle of that. And let's just make a sandwich. So what do you guys...
I agree, because like the sandwich part, like at the hospital when he's watching them in the bed, and he's like, oh, they're so beautiful.
Oh my God,
they look so good together. And Exactly. You know, and I think he was really feeling them together, but I think at the same time he was drawn more to Butch.
Yeah, for sure, more to Butch.
I think that, I think he wanted Butch all to himself. And he wanted what they had, but not as a threesome. He wanted, he wanted that belonging that Butch had that he did not have. But he wanted it with Butch, not with both of them. So he was definitely jealous of her.
He was jealous of her
at first, and then when he realized that, this was what Butch wanted, he backed off because he loves Butch.
Yeah, I think he kind of backed off after that, and also after he kind of queried her and was like, well, you turned him away, like, what's wrong with you, like, why are you even here right now? Because he knows the thing that Butch doesn't know, that he was like, go to Butch because he needs you to heal. He needs you at his side. So I think he acknowledged that, but I think he really didn't like her for hurting him, but I don't put it past him to like want a situation with them. Like, I feel like he would have easily slipped in there and been like, what's good?
Yeah, well, I mean, do you remember that part where she was feeding he needed to close her wrist, right, at the end?
Oh, he licked her.
I mean, he was so like, hard. I need to stop licking her before it becomes too weird. Like, I think
but he was licking her because to him it was like kissing Butch.
It was like kissing,
because Butch his mouth had been there.
But he also mentioned how good she smelled. But he also mentioned how good she smelled. And how good.
I don't think I think V is not opposed to polyamorous relationships. I don't think so. I think V do what he want to do. And I've always said that about V. I think I'm so glad his book next. Because we're going to dissect this baby. I can't wait to get into him. But right now, we're talking about Butch. And I definitely think he would have went, the three-way with them. Because life is a highway for V.
Right.
I want to ride it all night. I'm not a singer, but you get my point, right? So anywho, I'm so glad that I loved a lot of what happened with V and Butch in this book because there was so many. So do we want to hang out here for a minute and just talk about all the things that went on with V, or do we want to go on, because it is Butch and Marissa's book,
but they are such a that relationship is it's like an anchor in that story. So I don't really have a problem continuing talking about that.
All right, I feel like we got to, like, we have to, and then we'll come back because there was a lot with Marissa and Butch as well, but. V and the balcony.
This one was the petty.
She is wet. For real. He was like, this is my story, goddammit. I want
what about when Butch walked in on Vicious with the girl on the table?
Butch was appalled.
Butch what? Like, I don't know if he was appalled. I don't know. I feel like he took a good long look. Like he described it. You could see her like neck out, and he took like that in from head to toe. So I don't know if he was appalled. I feel like he was embarrassed for walking in on his best friend, but I don't think he was like disgusted. I think he might have been disgusted that he wasn't disgusted.
Oh, maybe that's possible.
Because he gotta want him. Okay, the balcony scene when Butch goes to and finds V hanging over the railing like Jenny in Forrest Gump. Like, he didn't give a fuck. He had that bottle of goose and he was like holding it between his fingers. He was doing this tightrope thing. He was like
naked and glowing, mind you. Don't forget he was naked and glowing.
Whole body glowing.
Whole body glowing and naked.
I said, V, goddamn, son, get your ass down off that. And then Butch came in and said the same thing. Get your ass down, son. He literally jumped. Let's talk about it. What was he gonna kill himself? I think he contemplated it.
I think he definitely contemplated it, but like he said, you know, yeah, I don't necessarily want to go on, but I don't want to die either. He was sort of like, he didn't quite say it like that, but he was just like, I don't want to die. He's like, I realize I don't want to die. Even with all this going on and how I feel, I still don't want to die. So, you know, he was just testing it and see what he really thought. And so I'll take a dive and see how I really, really feel about this. But then he realized, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take the cement.
I don't want to leave Butch.
Yeah, I don't
want to leave Butch.
I don't want to leave Butch.
Like if
and I don't think it's just Butch too. I think that, his brothers, he has it's not just Butch, but Butch had a lot to do with it, yes.
I think it was a lot of Butch.
I think it was 100%, but
pretty much 99.9% of it was Butch. Bless his heart. What you think, Sage?
I agree. I think that he contemplated it and he stopped himself. He saw the concrete and was like, yeah, maybe not. And
I think he wanted to test it and see how far he because he knew ultimately he could dematerialize. It wasn't like,
I was feeling like, after this whole like soliloquy that he laid out before Butch, like, I can't have you, like the things he was saying to him were very much a scorned lover in ways. And I felt so bad for V. I was like, you can come over here and we can talk about it. Like I felt so terrible because I could feel that he loved him more than he thought he could love anyone. And that is whether or not there was sex involved, and we're going to talk in a minute about the induction, but whether or not there was sex involved, for sure, this was a very emotional, very, hard end to a relationship. So was that the end, or was the induction the end?
I
think the induction was the end.
Yeah, I kind of want to make a point, though, also, is that it's more also him coming to terms with his emotions, because how his visions had dried up a little bit and he couldn't hear people's thoughts as clearly as he once could. It was like, because he was having issues with his emotions and not. So, I mean, I don't know if it was, Butch may have just been a symptom of that, It made him feel things that he hadn't felt in a long time, So.
Right. Yeah,
I think that kind of went the same way for Butch too, because we talk about Vicious not really caring about anyone before Butch, but really, I don't think Butch cared about anyone before V. And I think that's why too, if we don't want to talk about it being sexual on Butch's end, it could very well just be that bond that he made as just like having someone to truly care about. And depend on and want to be there for. He never had that. We saw how horrible his family treated him. So that bond with Vicious probably replaced that for him. It was probably the first time.
Well, and because Vicious does say, this is I have these feelings for you. He confesses how he felt, and Butch's reaction was just like, I'm not surprised. Like he wasn't surprised by it. So, but he wasn't like, oh, something's wrong with you. He embraced it too. He was like, he was okay with it. He didn't care that he felt this way. He was, he didn't make him feel ashamed about it or anything. He was just like accepting of it, like a true friend.
And now do you think it was because it could have been because of the yin and yang that the scribe virgin talks about?
Yeah.
With the dark, the light and the dark. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just.
They're destined to be together, friends.
Yeah. Were you guys hot that she was just standing there and she's gonna let Vicious like plummet? Like she obviously knew he wasn't gonna plummet to the ground, but I always feel like she just standing there like, doo-doo-doo. you know, like observing. Like that was very intimate for her to just be sitting there like chilling.
Well,
like,
I feel like she has a connection to her son, so I think she knew he was suffering because, you know, she can sense that.
did we know she was his son
No,
already?
you just gave a spoiler.
Spoiler!
That was a spoiler.
No.
Earmuffs.
Okay,
Earmuffs.
maybe not.
It was bound to happen. But she was calling him warrior, like up to the moment. So for people who haven't read this before, I think she called him warrior, like all the way through this book. She was still.
No,
like,
but I thought they talked about. I thought he had talked about it in one of the other books.
Not
No,
until
not yet.
I think you find out about it in this book.
In his book.
It's in his book, which is the next
but
book.
hang on, cool cats and kittens. We will be talking about all things V in the next episode. So, you know, we're not that early. It's coming. It's coming.
V is coming.
Yeah. So okay, so so we're wrapping up our V stuff. What about the induction? So when at the very end, Butch is inducted into the Black Dagger Brotherhood. That was the first time that I saw an induction, and we can talk about that, like the magnitude of that, a little bit later. But what I really want to get to is when, oh my God, when Butch was standing there and V was the last to strike him, and he lit into that flesh. And baby, they started like shuddering, and I was like, "Oh my God, orgasm!" Did y'all think that was an orgasm, or was that just me?
So at first, when you mentioned it to me before, I was like, "No." Mm-mm. Then I went back and I read it. I mean, that definitely was.
AJ, you want to join in on this? You don't think it was?
No.
Look at it away.
I don't think he was having an orgasm. I think the shudder was just like, I don't know. To me, it wasn't really orgasm. It was just more of like, I don't know, just allowing themselves for one moment to feel something, whether it be sexual, emotionally intimate. Well, yes, it does imply in sexual intimacy, but just I think just a moment.
Now that you said that, I can close the book back. I won't have to read the passage.
Okay. And let me tell you, though,
it was definitely some like an acknowledgement of something that would never be.
I am sure that they acknowledged that it would never be on the balcony. What I believe happened is when he entered him through the vein and they felt their connection, they had a release. Rub it harder than that. I feel like, you know, maybe nothing came out. Maybe they had a little, but it definitely was a release. It was a big release. It helped me get over the fact that they were breaking up. This was definitely a breakup. It was a long breakup, but it was a breakup. And I believe that they had an orgasm because V was like, didn't want to look at Butch. And Butch was like, listen, you're going to have to look at me at some point.
Yep.
Did he not? He did.
I think so. Yeah, he did. He was like, look at me. You haven't looked at me.
Butch said that, though.
Yeah.
Butch said that.
Because Bishop wouldn't look him in the eyes.
Yeah.
Because he knew he had done a thing. And they had done a thing together. I feel like every time there's an exchange of blood, with the exception of Rage and Mary so far, every time there's an exchange of blood between and Rev and Marissa, but Rev definitely wanted to do something with Marissa for sure.
If he wasn't doped up, he would have.
Right. But every time there's been an exchange, with the exception of those two, it has been extremely intimate and sexual. Maybe not for the rest of the Black Dagger Brotherhood, because it was very mechanical with them. They kind of went up, they took the blood, they drained their blood, and then it was done. Okay, you're a Black Dagger Brotherhood member. But with V, it was so much happening between them, and it was so private and so intimate and so fulfilling. And I almost had it.
You know, I'm almost surprised that the rest of the brothers didn't say anything, right? Couldn't you hear some cat calls? Like Rage, I could feel like Rage would have some like cat calls, or
I feel like
something
it
in the
was so
background.
serious. I just feel like it was so serious, and the scribe virgin was there, and she'd be like, don't inquire of me and take it serious. I feel like they were like, we're gonna ride y'all ass later. But I know that there was more to it than friendship. I think we all know that there was a relationship, and yeah. Oh my God, that was so good. All right, I'm gratified. I'm done now. Unless we want to talk more about.
Okay. We can move on. Yeah, we can move on. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We can always talk about Butch. I can always talk about them. Okay. So back to Marissa. Marissa is a very, very, very old school lady. She wears corsets, she wears stockings, and we kind of noticed that it was a challenge for her to even like wear pants. So when she was like, she ran into Beth, and she like wanted to gather her skirts and realized she had pants on. Like, she is this old school chick. So I think that kind of showed how much she was willing to be progressive. What do you guys think about Marissa stepping into this new world of hers?
I think it was about time. I just love that scene where she was trying on the pants, and she was like, it feels weird, but good. Like, this is weird. It's like, it's like like when people put like booties on their dogs and they're walking around like. It's just kind of like.
Yeah, it's also the first time that she had like things between her legs, so I think that might have. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible today. Y'all forgive me. Sage, what do you think about Marissa and the pants between her legs?
Well, first, I was really excited when she burned all her dresses. Even though it hurt my heart because those designers that she was talking about, sounded some really nice, couture gowns. But I was really happy when she did that, because it was almost like burned down. It was gratifying to see her like burn away the whole history in the past, and then she was like, "I've never worn pants before. I wonder how it would feel." So I liked it. I liked it. I liked that, and then I liked that she had the confidence to actually wear the pants to the meeting with the princeps. Yes. I was really happy with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I was not excited about her burning the pants. Or burning the dresses. I was kind of like, you just blew their yard up. Like, I felt like it was impulsive, but it was also such a monumental moment for her. It almost needed to blow up. That was indicative of her blowing up her entire world and starting fresh. Mm-hmm. And exactly. It was very interesting. An interesting choice for sure, because I'm pretty sure that Marissa had never lit a fire before. And I'm just glad Raph was there to catch her. Butch had a moment with that, though. Y'all want to talk about that when she was almost in the fire, and then I felt like it was a strike at his manhood. Like, he had to feel that, right?
Because he wasn't able to save her. And again, he has this thing about being the hero, about, and he already doubts his abilities around these brothers because they're so powerful, and they have these magical powers, and, and there she is, the woman that he falls in love with, and she's about to die and he can't reach her. But then, Raph can just like blink and be right there. And it is a blow to his manhood, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's so masculine in that way. Mm-hmm. He really takes on that male role, and the protector role, and when he's not able to, it's a blow to the ego.
Yeah, pre-vampire even, he was very domineering of
Yes, that's the word I was
domineering
looking for.
guy,
Yeah.
right? So what do you think, AJ?
Yeah, he was definitely, he just felt like that's one more strike against me for our relationship. We're never going to be able to have a relationship because I can't take care of her. I'm not strong. I'm not anything that she needs. And, it's this complex of thinking he's unworthy because of his past and never being able to really come to terms with that. Because even though, logically, he's got to know his sister's death wasn't his fault, but emotionally, you're blamed for something, you start to believe it. So
yeah, he had to believe that he had, a lot of failings, and I think he behaved in that way. Like even on the police force, he kind of he had a reputation for being, not exactly playing above the board. The way he lived, he was kind of, it's kind of a scuzzy way to live. Like he just didn't value himself. So I think in a lot of ways, he finally felt like he had that purpose. And then when she told him things like, I'm stronger than you. I can do anything you can do better. And, him seeing these vampires that he is starting to love so much, be so much more, than he is. If that whole first quarter of the book was such a transition for Butch as well, in him finding out who he was as a person. It was poor Butch. I felt so bad for him. So, so we'll stay with Marissa for a moment. She had a dream when he was captured by the Lessers, but I don't know that she possesses any special powers beyond that. And it certainly didn't exhibit for the rest of the book. Do you guys think, why do you think that happened, and how did it happen for Marissa?
I really didn't know. Like I was kind of thrown by that because, we've never been told that she has any psychic abilities or anything like that. He's not a vampire. They haven't fed. So it wasn't like Tor, feeling, the blood when he was when something happened to Elsie. There was nothing like that between them other than, like attraction, really. That was the most that they had at that time. So why she did that, I have no idea. Other than just intuition, I don't know. Sometimes women's intuition. Other than that, I really can't figure out why else she would do it.
Yeah, AJ, do you have a theory on that?
Well, that was like the whole thing where maybe she has some chosen blood in her because she, had that dream about him being in the woods, and there was some sort of, you don't know who her mother was. You don't know. You don't know much about her bloodline at all. So
she does.
Chosen have been known to have prognostication. Prognostication. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have wine. I wouldn't have been able to help you out on that one, girl. But she does act a lot like a Chosen. Before she kind of let everything down, like her hair was always done up in these intricate braids and knots. Her demeanor, well, maybe not Layla. Layla is a little more forward. We get to talk about her later, but she does have that that elegance and grace of a Chosen. So I could totally
beauty, right? Because she's described to be so beautiful, and the Chosen are.
Yeah.
So that too. Yeah. That theory does make sense.
Yeah, I like that theory. Let's stick with it. I don't know if we ever find out anything about her mom that I can recall, but I'm old, and a lot of stuff surprises me about revisiting these books. So I guess we'll see. But that is a very, very good theory. I like it. Why do you think that V has to lie to Marissa about Butch dying?
I don't know. I just feel like it's like keeping her
protected
almost, it's like secluded. Oh no, you can't, tell the poor damsel what's going on. God forbid you tell her the truth. You
Oh
know,
my God.
and that's, I mean, to me, that kind of plays out in the other books, the same concept, where the males try to protect the females to a detriment, actually. So
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's a hard thing to get used to, right? Especially with kind of watching the stories and you're like, these women are a little stronger than you're giving them credit for, right? You know, like we saw it with Beth and Wrath in the beginning when he was like, you can't go in the sun, you know, and you know, he hadn't even like tried it. He was just like, you can't do this, you know. So I think they do that a lot. What do you think, Sage?
I agree. Yeah, the women are because of the men are stronger and they're the warriors, and they always they shelter their women. And I think maybe because they're such an old class, like, I mean, they're 300 years old, and you know, women, if they were raised during that time, women were basically second class, right? So and I think that mentality, even though they're, you know, they're in a different time period now, that upbringing, that thought process doesn't go away completely. There's always going to be that that little bit of I can't think of the word, but like a little bit of that type of thought process, you know, even years later. So
yeah, I get that. I see, you know, even though the Black Dagger Brotherhood is very much anti-Glamera, in a lot of ways, they do carry on with those old practices and principles, right? So, you know, treating women very, very delicately, and a lot, and it's good, right, to value your mates and value, you know, females, but also, you know, you have to give them the freedom to try. So I think it's very much a learning curve for them when they encounter these women who are so strong, especially the older vampires. So yeah, I think that had probably a lot to do with it, that, you know, it's just old school, they can't break this culture. But I do think it's a little bit, especially since she kind of already had dreamed about it, it was almost like disrespectful to her, you know. Can we talk about that scene when she found out he actually was sick? Like when he called Marissa to the hospital, and she barged into the room without her suit on. That was such a romantic gesture. But why do you think V did that? Like, he hadn't been exceedingly nice to her, right? So why did he do that?
I think that because he knows how bonded males are, and he could see that there was something going on, that he was exhibiting some, you know, signs of being a vampire, and, you know, the scent and just the things, how he was acting towards her. And I think that he understands that is, like, males will, if they have the right female around, that it's gonna help them break through whatever is ailing them. And, you know, he needed something to live for, and he knew he wasn't enough. So I know.
Oh my God, V.
You know.
V. What about you, Sage? Why do you think he broke down and said it? He should have done it.
I agree. I think that at first he was like, "Fuck her. She left my boy. She, you know, she broke his heart. Now he's dying. You know, don't come here acting like you know, or you care about him." And I think that's how he was looking at it at first. But then he realized that he cared enough about Butch to know that he really did care about Marissa, and having her there would give him the comfort and maybe heal him faster. I mean, that was really the only thing I can see.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that her going there, even though he didn't know for sure if she had ever turned, if she had ever turned Butch away, because he was still angry at her at that point. And when she showed up, I think that gave him like the comfort with her to feel like, okay, she's probably not gonna, maybe she's not gonna hurt my boy. I guess I trust you a little bit, but I'm still gonna ask you these really, really tough questions. Why did you turn him away? Why'd you, you know, treat him with such disrespect and disregard? Was that V's place? Like, should he have gone that far.
I think so. I mean, your friends are going to protect you, right? So your friends are, you know, and it's more than just friends, because he felt this, like, Butch was his, you know, and he felt this ownership to him, and she had to, like, answer to him, like, why did you do that to him? And I think, you know, just even if we take out the whole sexual part, the whole feeling part, friends do that for friends, right? They're like, hey, you know, don't hurt my friend, you know, or why did you do that?
Yeah. But I also think that he knew Butch was awake too, and he wanted him to hear it. So I felt like he did it on purpose in front of Butch.
He got away.
Yeah.
He got away about him of doing stuff.
So.
I didn't think about that part. I felt like he was being really protective, but you're right. He probably was like, let me put the kibosh on this if necessary, because, you know, she said the wrong thing. If this chick is this hooker out of here, if one wrong word. So yeah, you're right. That's very much probably what was on his mind. Like, you got one chance. Oh my God. So, you know, as a result of Marissa and a few other actions, heading over to Butch's and, you know, deciding that, you know, she was going to risk it all for her human lover, Havers threw her out on the street. It was very, very, very cruel. But a couple of us believe that Havers still deserves a happily ever after, even after he was such a dick. So let's talk about that. What does Havers deserve?
I can see him. He needs to be with somebody that's going to open his eyes. That she is going to be some civilian commoner, nothing to do with the Glamera, jeans wearing, you know, gum smacking. I don't know. Just somebody that he would feel was absolutely beneath him. And he would bond to her like a motherfucker. And realize, you know, I've been a shit most of my life, 300 years, you know, and it just totally opened his eyes. And because, I mean, it's like he does all these shitty things, but then he does some really nice things too. Like I think his way of apologizing, like to Marissa at the end of the book about Safe Place and saying, hey, I'll give you referrals. I'll do free health care because these females and the young are going to need that. You know, that was his way of showing her that, yeah, I was a shit, but I do actually still care about you in my own way.
Yeah.
My way of giving back. I can't, he's not a very emotional person. He's very cold. And so
ice cold.
Yeah. And so, but I think that's part of it is to a tradition he was raised in too. So, you know, he needs to break out of that. He needs to find somebody. I don't think that J.R. Ward necessarily will write that story, but I think she should. You know, but
our petition.
Yeah, because he's just, I don't think he's bad. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, he's bad. He's not the baddest of the bad.
He's not the baddest.
He's not a lesser.
I mean, think about it. I mean, there's many characters that were much worse than him. In
vampire characters, right?
Yes, we won't go there, but there are some worse characters, and he's just, at least he will loan his vein to one of his patients if he needs to. You know, he'll do all these things. You know, for other people, he just has trouble with his own kin. So
yeah. What do you think? What does he deserve, Sage?
I agree that he deserves somebody that is going to be what he deems beneath him. But I want her to break all the rules, right? So I want it to be more than just lower class. You know, I want it to be like, I don't know, somebody from like a sex club or, you know,
gutter bro.
You know, like,
I got it.
Because I want it to be, you know, he holds all this like women at this like standard where they're supposed to have this class and respect, and his, you know how he treated Marissa about wearing the dresses. You can tell he was like looking down on her pants, like pants, you know. And I want, and he questioned her virtue. right? When
Yeah.
he walked in on her and Butch. And so I want.
Well, Butch was naked. Like Butch was
naked.
they were
He was naked. He was
they
naked.
had done some things. So, you know,
They had done some things, but
And
you
he knew
just
he had done something because it just.
I mean, the girl's 300 years old and divorced, right?
And
No,
sex
his son died.
smells in the air.
His Shellan died. His Shellan died.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, sex has a
Marissa.
smell.
I'm talking about Marissa,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's like 300 years old, a 300-year-old divorced woman.
Oh yeah,
right.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, even if you did walk in, what are you gonna do? But the whole idea is for him to meet someone that would break all the class rules. So besides money and status, I'm talking, you know, somebody that's just out there and doesn't care, to doing her own thing. And I want him to bond. I want him to bond like instantly and like lose his shit over her.
Yeah, I kind of want him to be with somebody that's like Rizzo from Greece. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, the bad girl. Like the girl that's like, I don't give a damn about the glamour. I don't even give a damn about you. You know, I want her to be like this very sexually liberated, trying anything. I want him to meet the woman vicious. Like, if there is, I want him to meet like somebody that is so on the other side of where he is, that he is, you know, just completely enamored with her. And then I want him to be in the lifestyle. I want him to be like a submissive. I want it all. I want him to get
want him whipped and spanked.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the things. I want him to have a tea. I want him to have all the things. So
call her mistress.
Yes, I want.
I don't know if I go that far, but
oh my god! Like I want him to have a really, really bad girl, like a real, not even bad, just someone who isn't bound by all the rules that they have to follow. You know, and I definitely don't think that, you know, submissives and dominance and BDSM lifestyles is a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I really believe, though, that he needs somebody that will show him the other side, and that, you know, it doesn't have to be in this little box.
Right.
I want to see him get out the box.
Yes.
Come on, JR. Come on, girl.
Tacos instead of burgers.
Right. All the things, honey. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, I think he deserves a lot, and I wouldn't mind watching him like stretched out on one of those X things and getting a little spanky spank.
Just something. A little taste of his own medicine, you know?
Well, for sure that too. So in between all this sex I'm talking about, he needs like somebody to be like, you know, you are just wrong. Like he needs to see that the things that he's done.
Did we find out who he feeds from now? Is he still experimenting with that blood?
No, he stopped doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So who's he feed from?
There's other Claire. Like he probably has a friend, but you know.
Probably. And like, you know, like Reb and Marissa had that arrangement. Well, Reb thought he was going to get down with him.
He sure did.
He thought he was mad. Woo! When he came out of the house at the end, and he was like, well, come on in here, baby. We can talk about it. I don't even care.
And see, that's a thought. Maybe Havers goes to somebody who he has to pay for their vein, and he falls for her. Maybe it's a new somebody.
A vein prostitute?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's like a whole like new storyline.
Oh my god! Is there a vein prostitute? Like $50 make you holler. Oh my god! That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like that's the petition. Next time we get out of here, and if we can go to Chicago, we'll raise our hand. Or Cleveland. Oh, it's Cincinnati. Cincinnati. The next Cincinnati event, we're all going. Oh! Can we have a vein prostitute for Havers?
Falls for.
Oh my god! She'd be like, "You are so nuts."
I love it.
All right, so we all agree. He deserves like somebody that's gonna rock his freaking world. Yeah. I like it. I hope we get to see it. All right, so I think we're talking about next Beth and Marissa's relationship. So when Havers kicked her out, and she had to show up at the mansion, and sun was on her heels, so if she would have stayed out there another 10 minutes, it felt like she was just going to be eviscerated. So when she got in the house, the expectation would have been, or she wanted to see Wrath first. Fritz opened the door, but it was Beth. I felt her pain. She like, I got evicted from this place for you. Can I just see Wrath? Like, this is my last shred of dignity. And for Beth to give her that well, not an olive branch, because she had never had anything against her, but for her to just be so welcoming and warm, that was such a relief. Like, I felt the relief. Like, I exhaled, and it's been years since I read this book, so I went through that. What did you guys think? Like,
that brought tears to my eyes, because Marissa's just all worried that I'm an inconvenience and I'm only going to stay for the night, and she's like, "Fuck that! You saved my man." And Brad comes down, and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" And he's kind of like, at first he's kind of like, "What do you mean she's going to stay here?" And Beth's like, right. Stay here. And then when he was explaining what Havers did, he was like, "Fuck that bastard. You can stay as long as you want."
Yeah, I don't think he had like animosity. Like, he did kind of say, "What you mean? Like, she's rich. Like, what was she thinking?" Right?
Yeah.
It was beautiful. What do you think, Sage?
Well, I loved it because she finally found, we all have our girlfriends, right? And she never had that. Every woman that, every female in her class always looked down on her. They never made eye contact with her, never wanted to be a friend. They all treated her like crap, right? So we know this. And then she meets this half-human vampire that's, like, she wasn't expecting her to be kind to her. She wasn't expecting her, even though she fed Wrath. She was like, to her, that was like she was saving her king. So it didn't even really, it didn't even feel like she was doing Beth the favor. Beth looked at it as a favor, but she was saying, this is my king. I'm going to do what I can to save him. So for Beth to be kind to her in that way, that opened her eyes. And then you see their friendship later too, when they go see her, like all the girls go, right? So you get Beth, Mary, and Bella. They all go see her at the new house and talk to her, and she's getting that female comfort, and she's never had that before. So I think that was really, really special.
And also Beth asked, because she was upset about something about the asked her what's wrong, and they talked about sex, and she just never had that conversation, and she wouldn't have been able to have anybody to ask,
right?
Beth, so it was,
that was fantastic. I feel bad because there are like actual women in the world who don't have like girl relationships where they don't have true friends. I feel like that was one of the most realistic issues that faces women, for any time period, where, it is hard because it almost feels like women are pitted against each other sometimes. And it is challenging to form meaningful female relationships and to see, someone get that hadn't had it. And the gratification and just the building of that camaraderie, because the boys have the boys, but, if Beth hadn't been there for Marissa, she would have never felt that, even if she would have had Butch. So I that was one of the most satisfying parts of the story, that she got like this whole, complete circle of having support systems that don't just revolve around sex, but also those meaningful female connections. So warm and fuzzy. I really enjoyed that.
And Beth returning the favor of saving Butch, which was nice.
Yeah, I love the ending too.
So now all their bloods run together, right? Yeah, like real family. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah,
it is really neat when you think about it, that everybody is like this full circle. I love when at the end and I think one of you guys already said it, but it was just one of my favorite parts when they went to go get her, and she was waiting for him when he came back from being inducted into the. So it was so sweet, and I think that was like everything he needed. Bless his heart. Butch was a mess. So before we start crying, let's not cry on camera.
I do feel a little watery here.
That ain't cute. Let's just move forward. So Butch, and we'll drop it back a little bit, but Butch thinks he's unworthy of Marissa because a lot of it is rolling back to when his sister died. When everybody told him for years and years in his family that it was his fault. And even to the point where his father said, he asked his father when he finally saw him again in his adult years, why didn't you do anything for me? Like and then all of a sudden you didn't touch me at all. Like what happened? And for him to say to him, I just couldn't have you killing another one of my children. I was scared. That was heartbreaking. Like he felt like he dealt with his family thinking that he was a part of the issue. And he had to feel that because we saw this hero complex that he was dealing with. What do you think? Was it like he was 12 years old? Like there was no way that he could have stopped that.
It wasn't his fault at all. I mean, it wasn't his fault at all.
No, absolutely not his fault.
Yeah.
How can her actions? Right, he was 12 years old. How can her actions even be blamed on him? I mean, if even though there were like, well, he should have went and told somebody that she got in the car. But I mean, really, don't you as siblings usually cover for each other anyways?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know his sister, obviously. But, if I saw one of my siblings doing something that I thought was wrong, my immediate reaction is not going to be to go tell. That's just not how siblings operate most of the time. And I think, I don't know that she was fighting when they took her. I just don't understand how they could think that he was so. Now I get the dad because dad obviously had issues about him not being his child, but what I don't understand is the sibling, and I don't even understand the mom. Like she explained it later. Does anybody remember what she said? What was her rationale for that? I can't remember exactly.
She said if she liked him more, if she treated him differently, it would be disrespectful to her husband because he already accepted her for cheating on him.
Yeah, that's almost kind of a little bit like Marissa behaving in a way that she was expected to, very much like his mother, right? Do you guys think that was part of the attraction to Marissa too, that she had so many ways like his mom? Not the bad part, but like her being like,
no, I think if I think back to the first book and when he first meets her, he sees this angel. Like literally he thinks she's an angel, right? Like she's beautiful and graceful and interested in him, right? So it's like, wow, and I think that was the same thing for her, but for him it was like this, huh?
Sorry, I had to move.
Oh, okay. No worries. We're working from home.
But yeah, so I feel like I totally lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
But,
you were saying you felt like he kind of idolized her when he first saw her.
And well, I mean, it was like he sees this ethereal beauty and he already thinks that he's lacking and the attraction to her was like, wow, she's just so pure and I'm not, and so he idolized her for that, I think.
Yeah, I get that. I think in a lot of ways though, when you see, the way that men treat their mothers, men marry their mothers eventually. That's what they say. I felt like a lot of the things that his mother did, um, you know, Marissa was very much a rule follower. And I just feel like that could have led to a little bit of that attraction to her, that strong, immediate attraction. Right. And then there's some other things that he mentioned later on that his subconscious vampire kind of chose her and knew that was his mate. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like, do you think he was aware of that, or that was just a revelation that came out later on?
I don't know. I think he was going through the emotions and not really recognizing them. Mm-hmm. So it really could be. He could have bonded with her in that way, because he was doing all the little bonding things, and we didn't. Because I remember when I was reading this and taking notes again, I'm like, why does he have so many human, vampire traits? And then we find out why later. So maybe it was just his internal instincts pulling through.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I almost feel like his mother, she knew that he had a different father than her husband. So what was the story there? Was she raped? What was the deal?
I thought she said...
Because she didn't really give a shit about him either that much.
No, I think so at the end, she kind of explained to the daughter, this hot-ass doctor was, I was stuck at the hospital for 2 days and I had a moment of weakness, and I kind of felt like the doctor, it sounded a little bit like, oh my God, we can't talk about that yet. So anyway, right. So,
now that we've read previously and then rereading
and
that,
then I totally I can't wait to get to that. So sorry guys, we're gonna not do that again. But I feel like she just could not help herself with this doctor, and she ended up pregnant, and then she ended up having a really bad pregnancy. And then she said that the reason that she couldn't be nice to him was because it was disrespectful to her husband. So it didn't feel like a rape or anything like that. It just felt like, in her moment of lucidity from her Alzheimer's, she, confessed something. And I believe for the first time the daughter believed it, because I think she had said that she used to say that before, that that's not your father's son. I think
she did say something. Yeah, Joyce said something about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joyce. Mm-hmm. I just feel like they just played him. That was so shitty.
Because she's a fucked up sister. I'm sorry. That
oh my gosh, she was
horrible. Mad at her husband for calling him. And that was his boy prior to being her husband too. Right. So, she was just a shady sister.
I've seen parents treat kids poorly, but a lot of times the kids band together. You know what I mean? They'll be like, I don't care you're my brother, you're my sister. I don't care what they're going through. You're my sibling and I'm here for you. And that just did not happen with them. Even with the brother, they mentioned that the brother kind of let, didn't say anything, that Butch wasn't participating in the drinking at that barbecue. And, Butch got beat down because of it. And I've seen stories and I've seen incidents where, siblings are like, no, you're not going. And that's almost the instinct for older siblings to be like,
it's almost like he was pinpointed like the child called it. Remember that book? Psychology classes. But it was like he was pinpointed, like he was the one that was bullied. He was the one that was treated poorly. Like he didn't matter. And everybody was okay with it. It was like the siblings were just like, yeah, it's just how life is.
How it is. Even in the stories, Fury searched for Z for 100 years. That's, I get it. I searched for my siblings forever too. So it was just Butch had a really shitty backstory. What I did enjoy though was the protectiveness that his boyfriend exhibited when he was like, his family ain't in the picture. Like, don't even think about it. You know,
they ain't shit. Like they ain't shit is basically what he was saying there.
They ain't shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Well, he had a similar upbringing too. So
yes,
his
he
own
did.
father hated him too. Was afraid of him. So that was a similarity that they have. Kinship.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna find out in a minute, guys, in the next book about these backgrounds. All right, we keep jumping ahead. We're gonna do better. I think we did it like twice in one episode. So, all right. So why do you guys think that Marissa didn't tell Butch that she had to feed? Like, what was that?
Because she knew it was gonna make him mad.
She was frazzled, or just felt like that was an impropriety, whatever that word is. It was improper, you know, like,
yeah.
I don't know why she would just not say, hey, look, I'm like out of my mind, bloodlust here, and I will drain you if I try to drink from you. Like, why couldn't she just freaking explain it?
But he was giving her, she was trying to tell him, I will kill you. Like, I will kill you.
Yeah, but she didn't say why.
No, she didn't.
No, she didn't. She didn't. And I think that was her biggest issue, right? Communication. She just couldn't communicate properly. She couldn't tell him like how she felt about anything, and then she would leave him to make his own assumptions. And of course, with all his issues, it was always, oh, then it's my fault. I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect enough for her, and you know. If she was just open with the lines of communication with him, we wouldn't have that problem. It would have been easier.
Probably
would have helped a bit.
Mm-hmm. But then we wouldn't have all those plot points. So
yeah, I don't like it. I hate it when she like ghosted on him and left him locked in a room. Like, how emasculating is that? Like, I did not love it.
That was a little annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more than one occasion she's like, I'm stronger than you, and I could lift you over my head with one arm. You know, and it was kind of like, and she's got some sarcasm on her. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's all right. That's why he was made extra big at the end.
Oh, let's talk about it. So
and long.
Okay, so already when he was a human, she looked between her legs while they were, you know, doggy style. She looked between her legs, and it was at her navel. That is very sizable. I said at her navel. What is that? 10 inches? Is it 10 inches? Like, how?
I mean, he's 6'8", right?
Not at the time. He hadn't transitioned yet. He was a human.
Had he transitioned?
No, not when she looked down.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, he hadn't yet.
So when he transitioned, everything got bigger. You can't see my hands. Bigger. Oh, Marissa, girl, what are you gonna do? Look at you. Where do you get that tape measure from? You just whipped it out.
She has a pecker checker right by her bedside. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna say this. I'm dead. I forgot about this.
How many inches?
Sizable quality.
How many inches? 10?
No idea. It was never stated. But I'm gonna assume that
I'm scared. I would be scared.
I would be scared. I'm assuming. So if she saw it and it was at her navel, and she's a tall woman, I'm gonna assume it had to be like 10 inches.
And can you imagine the sack on that boy?
Stallion. This is probably the most
in-depth too.
book review I've ever done. I wouldn't have left him either. I would have been right by. I'd have Tammy Wynetted him too. But Boy, Jesus.
Oh
I
my
feel bad for
goodness.
him when she took him, oh my God, when he changed and he took her to the floor, all I could think about was, it was at your navel before. Like, what's about to happen? What's going to happen here? Somebody
Gonna
has to
tear her
clarify for
up.
me how big this is. So I added that to the notes that Butch has so thus far in the book. In the books that I've seen, he's the most sizable male
I don't
around.
think he is, but she talked about it more.
Yeah, you don't think? Well, who?
Well,
who,
it could
who
be
you
the
think?
fact that
Ray?
he like. No, well,
Rage.
yeah.
Revenge. Gotta revenge. Revenge got a big ego. Oh,
Well, you know, Revenge has got something else going on down there, so.
I know,
But we can't talk about it right now,
know.
guys.
oh,
Moving on.
love and revenge. All right, so okay,
Got a couple
so
books
let's.
for that one. A couple books.
Let's see all the books. So we're gonna have to move
Two.
forward because
Two before we get to Revenge.
two books
Right.
before him.
It's
We
okay.
got D and we have Fury. Is Fury
Yeah.
after V? Yeah,
It's
Fury,
the
Grandpa
Fury, and then Revenge.
Okay, all right, and we'll speed through Grandpa Fury. No, I'm just kidding. I love Fury. He's a nice man. He's a nice gentleman.
I know.
All right,
that
so
book, you're gonna be like, I hate this book. I hate him. I hate him.
I you know, every time. So I'm reading them, and then people that I thought I had like issues with, you know, I was like, I don't know, girl, Marissa. I don't know.
I only have issues with one character that we haven't seen on the page yet. Oh,
Okay.
we did meet him in this book.
In B's book?
No,
Who?
in this book.
Oh, yeah. I know who she is.
I don't know. Tell me.
You know who I don't like.
Who? Lash? Who?
Well, that too, but
Oh, I thought you were talking about Lash.
Yeah.
Who? Just say it. If we met him on
we
this page,
introduced another character.
but did we meet him on this page? On this
He was
book?
he's part of the training program.
Oh, Quinn.
Oh, Quinn.
Well, let's not talk about why you don't like him, because that's going to be
Right now, though.
Skipping ahead.
Right now, though, those boys are so cute. Can we go
Oh,
to
they're
them?
very adorable. They're adorable right now.
He was like, well, tell me, did you hit it? And poor Blay is like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And Quinn is like, you got to give me something, dog. Like, you got to give me something. Oh, that was the cutest scene ever. And John, for the first time in this book, for the first time in a couple books, in a little while, he seemed so happy just to be around them. And when Layla, let's go to that. Let's go to John. Oh my God. Layla, so John was like excited because of Blay. And Blay is like, yeah, it was hot. I got to meet somebody, blah, blah, blah. So I'm running through because I got to get to this Layla part. Layla comes in. Layla like, hello, sire. And bowed low. John didn't know what to do. He went over there. That shirt was open low. Them sleeves was out. Them arms. And she got this chignon on her head. And she is just...
And the slit up her side.
And a slit up her side.
And
he already didn't know what to do. But then, old girl disrobed. Layla has got to be the thirstiest character that we have met in this entire series thus far. She was bred to be, you know, this way and to service the Black Gap Brotherhood, right? But she take her job
but no one is allowing her to service them, and I think that's what's making her even more thirsty.
Oh, gotcha. John didn't know what to do. He was like, wait till I tell them about this shit. You know, it faded to black on us, and I don't know what happened in the rest of that meeting. What do y'all think happened?
What, with Layla?
With Layla and John. Like, they just sat down and talked?
I don't know. He probably was like, Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he had the.
And she just, and she unabashedly picked up her robing and dressed like it was nothing.
It probably,
She doesn't know to be embarrassed at this point.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like she never, like she knew what she was supposed to do, and she knew it was great sense of pride and duty, and she is the first one in a long, long time to be called upon. So I think she probably explained to him what would happen, and very like enthusiastically. But wait, so Raph was like, and when you get done, she'll do it with you.
Oh man. It's crazy to think that he's his brother-in-law, right?
Wait! Oh Lord! So they double like no. They are brother-in-law. I keep forgetting. I was thinking about Butch. So in that line. But yeah, oh my God, that was the best like line. I'm like, that's hilarious. And John was just staring at him like yeah, that was the best. All right, so did we talk about what we think she said? I think we did.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just got like really excited about that. Okay, so we talked about V. I think the last thing that we have to talk about, or the last couple of things, are two other characters. Mr. X. We don't like talking about the lessers. But he was a bit piss poor. Like he was like, kill me.
Sad. I mean, yeah, he's totally horrible. I know. He's just despicable.
He's not the worst lesser, though. He's not the worst lesser.
He wanted
so far, though.
Couldn't take his life anymore, and he just was done with this. Why the fuck was I reanimated? Oh my God, there's got to be a way out of this. It sucks. And he's so disappointed at the very end. He wanted Butch to suck him in, and he just couldn't do it. He tried. Poor lesser.
He tried. Oh my God.
It's just like, oh.
He had resisted that itchy urge to go to the Omega for hours. Like he tracked them down to the Princess meeting. Took a lot to do that, right? And he was like, I'm coming home. He's like, not you, that one. Like, get me. And I did not feel bad for him. This
was gonna do it though. And that's the thing. He actually had some compassion for him for some reason.
And he tried to do it. He was like, all right, I'll do it. But I think at that point, Butch kind of knew that there was a finality to what he was doing as opposed to the lessers going back home and then being recycled. So I think he knew that it was his job to do that at that point, and it was the first thing that made him feel extremely useful. So I think that had a lot to do with it. I don't think he had it, because at the end he was like, well, I tried. Let me stab you back to the Omega. Sorry for your luck, dude. Oh my God.
Omega shows up like, there was a line in the book about the Omega, and he was saying something to Butch, and I can't remember, so now I don't have the book in front of me. But he was like saying something like, watch your family.
Oh, he did.
I wasn't sure what he was saying, what he was doing.
I think he was saying, I think it was a threat. Threat. But I don't know what it meant.
I don't know.
And I don't, again, I read these stories like a long, long time ago, especially the earlier books. And when I go back to read, I don't go all the way back to the beginning. So it's a lot of stuff that I forgot. I forgot why things were the way they were. So it's very interesting to read it again. So I'll be watching out for what that is. Unless do you know, Sage, what that was?
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, other than him telling him, when he's saying family, is he talking about the Brotherhood? Is he talking about his, I doubt it's his human family, right? So, I really don't know. Other than, I'm still on my agenda to take you guys all down. I really can't even imagine what it would mean.
What's really interesting is what comes out in not, well, I guess it's not a V's book, but the book after. So, like, some of what he said was a little bit of foreshadowing when he was like, it was giving him ideas about family and stuff. He did
Mm.
mention things about, you know,
Yeah,
the ideas.
we'll have to mark it down to visit that when we get there in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited now to know.
And
I
it's an
can't forget.
yeah, and it's an interesting take on how time is perceived. So
Yeah. Well, you know, there's this infinity thing that seems to be reflected between, you know, the scribe version and, well, yeah. So we can't talk about
I know, yeah.
another villain that's coming. So, woo, woo. All right. So I'm gonna let me rein that back in. Let's talk about Hex for a minute. We've seen her a couple of times. She is strong as shit. Described as a just a badass, you know, like she doesn't seem like the type of woman that can be taken down easily by her own emotions or what anyone else says or does to her. But when she finds out that that Butch is first a vampire and then he's made it, there's a moment of sadness that Revenge observes right before they kind of commit to being each other's person. So what do you think that was? She's a very pragmatic woman. So I don't think she got like really sad. But what do you think that was that passed over her?
No, because I feel like it was that it was something she longed to, for family, for a connection to somebody, because she doesn't have that. And it wasn't that, it could have been any person, you know, it just happened to be Butch, but I don't think she is in love with him or anything. I think she just liked the idea of, you know, that he found somebody and she feels like she'll never have that because of what she is, being a sympath and just not being able to go there. She just, the fear too, because, you know, we'll find out later more about that because she's an interesting character. So, but you know,
I found it interesting that it's funny that Revenge wanted Marissa, and she kind of had a thing for Butch, and now they're together. You know?
Well, they're not. They're just each other's blood bag. But yeah.
No, I'm talking about Marissa and Butch, right? So like both of them wanted the two of them, and now then lost them to each other, like to their, you know, who they were hooking up with, right? So
yeah, I think it was a little bit different. I get where you're going. I think it was just a little bit different though, because I think Revenge definitely wanted Marissa to be his mate, even though, and I think he would have tried it too. Even though he knew he was part sympath, I think he was gonna try it. He was going to be like, I'm going to mold her into what I need her to be. She'll never be with another male, so she won't know that I'm sympath. And yeah, maybe she might catch me shooting up a little bit of dopamine, but by then it'll be too late. We'll be mated. You know? So I think he was going to try it. But I don't think that Hex would have tried it with Butch. I think that, you know, she just kind of realized in that moment that, you know, she would never feel the love of a bonded male. It was too dangerous for her. I think they described it as snakes in the grass, you know, two snakes in the grass. I think that's what Rev said. And that broke my heart a little bit too. Because even though I know at this point that they're both different, I don't exactly understand what sympaths are. I know that they're not desirable. I know that they're considered like less than the vampires, and it almost something to be ashamed of. But I don't know what makes her so bad, or him so bad and so unlovable that they can't have people.
Well, I think they've explained it a little bit, right? With the whole playing with their minds and feeding off of their bad emotions, right? It's like you know, I call them like the sin eater. So I think that is what's feared by them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, is it just another symptom of the Glimera being snobs. Because is this something that the scribe virgin would pass on? Would she even have, like, because some of their traditions are sort of based on the chosen traditions. Would she even think that I mean, this is not coming from above. I think this is coming from, a place of the Glimera being afraid because of their females being abducted in the past and raped, and that's a result of revenge and both having had their mothers,
Yeah, because they have these, factions of people that, not only them. I think so far we're calling them the Moors.
Yeah.
There are Moors that are, they're another species, and then the Senpas are another species. And so far, all we've seen of them are them being in these, undesirable locations, right? So they're bouncers and, drug dealers and things like that. So I feel like, I feel very much like the society has kind of placed them in a position where they have to do some undesirable things, because they don't have a space in high society. But I also have not learned, even though we know a little bit about revenge and how he felt when he was able to fight the lessers and feeding that side, I don't think they've shown yet what they could have done that was so bad, and I think we get to see that, but not until Revenge's book. So, it was difficult to understand her emotion, but we do get to do that later on. So, and I love Hex. I do. I think that was this book. I happened to see that, and I was like, damn, she was like shook, and I just never remembered that about her.
Well, I don't want to talk about her her future or her past that we don't know about yet. But maybe that longing has to do with something that she might have had in the past and no longer has anymore as well, right? So, without spoiling, but I that's like this thought came to my mind, like something, maybe longing for what was,
Yeah, maybe it was a connection to that, but knowing what she had, which wasn't a heck of a lot like what she had.
Nobody turned into one.
I ain't saying no more. I'm not saying nothing else. Oh my goodness.
Moving on.
What she had was something special. All right, so the one thing we didn't talk about, and we've been on for a while, so I won't belabor the point, but we didn't talk about the Destroyer prophecy and how all of that came into fruition. That was quite a revelation for us so far in this book. And what the Destroyer prophecy means to the Brotherhood is that they, for the first time ever, have a shot at equalization in the Lesser War, besides just stabbing them and then repeat, stab, repeat, stab, repeat. So I think this was such a pivotal book. I think that it was really important in the world, and I kind of didn't expect for Butch to have such a meaningful role. I think it led up to it, but I didn't think he was going to have that kind of role. I was kind of like surprised, trying to relive that first moment of reading this book. I was kind of surprised that he would have such an important part. How do you feel about that? Because if he wouldn't have been like, if they hadn't have preempted his vampirism by jump starting it, so to speak, it wouldn't have happened, I don't believe. So what do you think about that?
Well, he sucked in a couple lessers before he transitioned.
Right,
so
right.
He
right.
already had that. I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought where I was going with this, but
I think you're talking about the.
I think it's kind of like Omega. Good that he came from such a bad place with his family and stuff, and now he realizes, oh, for the first time in my life, I have a purpose. And I thought actually it was good because he deserved to have that purpose.
Yeah.
instead of, continuing to be lost.
Yeah.
So,
It was good. It was good.
It's funny, right? How they they almost like Beth and him, meeting in the first book, and how their lives. I mean, they knew each other for a long time, and they were destined to be in this world together. And it's crazy how they were drawn together, and he was drawn to her. Like he liked her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was really there was no real chemistry between them. He just thought she was cute, and that was it.
Yeah.
And but that draw to her is what got him there at the time where she was with Wrath, and it all tumbled through. So it was it's cool to watch how they crossed paths, and their destiny took them to a whole new world, and it kind of is the same thing with John and Mary, right? So it was the same thing, so I like
Yeah, I kind of think it's cool how all the pieces fit together. I think that's what we love about this world, that we all just kind of are so easily able to fall into it because everything kind of stacks in neatly, and we can feel where people are and where they're going, and see the dependencies on one another. It's like you said earlier, they all share the same blood now. That's something I had never thought about. So it was good. It was really good. I'm so glad that we revisited Butch and Marissa, even though they are not my favorite couple. I don't dislike them. I don't think I dislike any of the couples, but for sure, Butch and Marissa, I was kind of oh, well,
you know what it is? No, you know what it is, because we get a lot of them, right? Their story kind of continues through the series, so we're gonna be talking about Butch and Marissa a lot towards the end, right? So
yeah,
I think that's
a lot about
fresh
Butch
in our mind. Yeah,
right.
I think a lot about Butch for sure because of the Destroyer prophecy. So he's such an integral part of this series, and
I think that he's also a genuinely nice guy, even though he's had this past. He wants to be a better person. He has real growth in this.
Yeah, both of them do. Marissa has grown a lot already, and I think she continues to grow. I think the best thing about her, I do love that she saw an immediate need and did something about it, right? So she's I've been turned out in the cold. I'm not gonna let anyone else be turned out that way. That was a part that we kind of didn't talk about, her creating Safe House, because it was so needed, because they were so old school. And I don't know what women did when they were turned out into the cold, in Caldwell or in the old country or wherever. What did they do, with domestic violence and things? I guess they just endured like she did. So that was fantastic.
Yeah. And I like that her brother, because I think her brother Havers recognized that too. But he just felt like maybe he couldn't do anything, or it's not proper to do anything. And then when he saw
you have a soft spot for him. I noticed that you really do have a soft spot for him.
I do. I know that shit ass things, and there's more shit to come.
Yeah, he is.
But I mean, a lot of it is just that he's still stuck in his traditional life. Not, part of it is just the way he was raised. I mean, honestly, you should strive to be a better person, but he's just not at that point,
Yeah,
but
it's like
him doing all these really good things for Marissa and actually helping her, by helping other people, because that's what was important to her. He recognized that, and I don't know. I just thought that was it was better than any apology, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, no, I think he could have done better with his apology. I wanted to give you that, but I can't, because he could have done better with his apology.
Yeah, I mean, his apology was bullshit. I'm sorry, but
my bad.
I was
just that close to daylight?
Well, yeah, I don't think his reason.
Not like they have hotels.
Do
they have hotels?
I'm not saying he's excusable for doing it. I'm just saying his way of really showing her that, yeah, I do feel a way about this. Because, like I was saying before, that he's just cold to his own kin. for whatever reason. He doesn't like his patients that don't have money. He doesn't expect them to pay him. And it's like, who does that? Nobody does that. Nobody does that in human society, do they? I mean,
yeah, but what's he doing it? Because so he ain't even got a book. We just right now, but was he doing it just because benevolence? It looks good, and the glamera, and people that belong to the glamera, really believe in looking good.
I think that the safe house is like goes against that.
Not safe house.
Him situation that they're always in. Like we've seen that throughout the books that they like to blame the victims of things. They
are victim blamers, but
yeah.
I think that I just don't want to give it to him that he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart, because Havers has always been a person that we've seen so far. He's always been a person that's like, I'm gonna do this because I need to do it. I don't feel good about it. I'm gonna do it. Like
yeah, but I don't think that's the case with this, though. I think that he wants to do it because he sees that there's a need for it. Now, whether it's an apology to Marissa or not, I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying, but I just feel like, he's doing it because this is the first chance he's had to support it. If he wouldn't do it on his own because he's just, he's stuck in his glamera way of thinking. Instead of you brush it under the rug as opposed to actually fixing the problem or helping the problem, And
maybe
he's a shithead. I agree. I'm not saying he's not.
Oh my God, a shithead. Accurate description. The accuracy, though. My God.
What does he look like to you? Like,
he looks like.
I don't think he's wimpy. I just don't think he's not built like a warrior, obviously, but I think.
Okay, you guys go. I'll do mine last. What does he look like to you, Sage?
I don't know. I can't even. I mean, I see him then. I think I saw him with a mustache. Like
no, they don't have like hair like that.
I know, but in my head, I saw this like weird mustache.
Who's Mr. Planner? Like, who are you?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
I see. I see. Okay, so I see. Do y'all get down with comic books?
Who?
Bill. I see. The Incredible Hulk. As the doctor. What's his name? Shit. I'm getting my worlds mixed up. The doctor, the Incredible Hulk, the alter ego for the Incredible Hulk. That's who I see him as.
I know.
Not bad looking.
His name. Like, what the fuck?
I totally went out of my head. Like, I am a Marvel head girl. Like, what is wrong with me?
Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner.
Yes.
Bruce Banner. I see him as Bruce Banner.
I think better looking. I think better looking than him.
I don't see him as better looking.
I can't remember what he looks like. I'll have to get back to you.
Well, you have to take in consideration. Marissa is the most beautiful person in the race, so you can't think that he's going to be ugly because
I think he would have females beating down his door if he was a doctor for the entire race. He was a widower.
Maybe he does. We don't see that.
Chicks would have been Marissa's friend to get at him. They'd have been like, hey,
this
girl.
This is true.
I mean, they thirsty as fuck. Those girls,
but keep in mind,
be like, oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him.
No, but he was mated for a very long time and his Shellen died. So they're going to respect him.
And what does that mean? Widowers are very, very, very high profile. Like in something like the Glamour, and that level of authority, and he's the healer for the race. They don't have a lot of healers.
But how? But maybe people just respect him because of his position.
I do believe that they respect him, but I also think they would bone him and mate him. So I don't see him as like
that. He has all these parties. He has a birthday party. He always has guests.
I don't see it.
I don't see him doing that though, because we were in his head.
Messing around.
He just was. He's not over.
Like, oh, I'm gonna make
he
my
ain't over
own
his
blood.
mate.
I
He's
don't
not
want
over
to
his
be
mate. Yeah, I don't
bothered
see
with
him paying attention to anybody.
the barbaric nature of blood exchange. I'm gonna make my own blood. Like, I don't see him as
I'm
being
saying, I see him as good looking.
I didn't say he wasn't good
He
looking.
probably is. I just can't picture. I can't picture him. I don't know. I kind of just don't see him when I read it.
Do you guys imagine the Lessers? Like, I imagine like Van as like Vin Diesel.
It's like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So, and then Mr. X, I imagine him as like, oh my God, there's this white-haired villain that was in like Lethal Weapon. Oh my God, I just told my age for sure. Lethal Weapon, and they were calling him the albino.
Okay, so
I picture him as that.
Yeah,
so all the Lessers, now that you mentioned that, all the Lessers, I see them as, you guys remember Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so the albino in that movie is who I picture as like every single Lesser. That's what I see. I don't see anybody else. I think maybe just because of the peeling out and all of that, that's all I picture. I don't even I can't even find them attractive like or like even compare them to Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? Like I can't. See
well,
that.
he had just transitioned, so they don't. Yeah. And I also saw what's the guy's name from last time? Mr. R, Mr. D, Mr. O. I saw him as Chachi. Chachi if he had like white eyes. Because he was dyeing his hair. I'm like, don't you love Chachi? Guys, like for real, like y'all don't see the Lessers. I see them. And
I try to ignore them as much as possible.
I do. I see them, and
I don't know about that.
Bruce Banner is cute though. Bruce Banner in the current Marvel movie, Bruce Banner is not bad looking.
I didn't say he was, but I just think that he's.
Well, who do you think he is?
He's going to be just as good looking as she is, and
who is that? Chris Hemsworth.
I have to find a picture.
He for sure ain't Chris Hemsworth, baby. Oh
no, he's got to be really lean, like one of those.
He's lean,
lean men.
What good looking lean guy?
Lean, but not disgusting. You know, like not like he's in shape.
Like the runner type body.
Yeah. Okay, but who?
I don't know.
I can't think of anyone. I'll get back to you.
I can't believe that
in another book.
He'll
be in the next book.
I'll be in the next book on that. I'll be scanning pictures tonight.
Okay, scan them, and then we got to post them on the blog so people can see. So we will post. Yes. We will post on our Facebook page, The Book Harlots, and you can find us by typing in The Book Harlots on Facebook in the search bar. We'll post all of these guys that we're talking about tonight, and you can tell us who you imagine the Lessers and Havers and all our least favorite characters, what they look like. Oh my goodness. So this has been so much fun, guys. We spent a lot of time on this book. I didn't know that when I started out that we were going to have this much to talk about with Lover Revealed. But next week we have Lover Unbound, Vicious and Jane. We get to talk more about V and we'll see him finally fall in love with his bonded mate. So I can't wait for that. We hope you guys visit us. Please like and share and drop some comments, as we obviously love to talk. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining.
Bye.